We just want to drive it, but I don't know how to do it.
Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy H. Wynn, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be delivered by Pastor Greg Cook from Christ Chapel Bible Church here in Fort Worth. Pastor, thank you very much for coming out today. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledge.
Let's pray. Dear wise and loving Heavenly Father, thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself and for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate and significant responsibilities. Thanks as well for the freedom to know and represent you. Thank you for loving and watching over us even when many people, even ourselves, too often fail to acknowledge you. Your scriptures tell us that it is you who have appointed the governing authorities in positions of responsibility. Help these, your servants, bear their responsibility with the strength and wisdom you freely provide. You have established these very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for this Commissioner's Court today that wisdom would be given to defend the laws even amidst many conflicting interests and issues of our times. Give us all a keen thirst for justice and rightness, including wisdom to ask the right questions and offer good and true responses in renderings. That truth would prevail over falsehood and that the needs and rights of the many would prevail over the self-centered ambitions of oppressors. Give us the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement. I pray for the respectful postures and humble spirits to prevail over the proceedings today. And I ask for personal peace in the lives and joy in the tasks, even in those things which seem trite and mundane. I pray for the agenda before them today. I pray that those who acknowledge you today would know your good pleasure and that you would be glorified in their representation of you. Please continue to bless this good city with the decisions handed down in this court today. And thank you for the selfless service of so many public servants in this, our beloved city of Fort Worth. And it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Pastor, for coming out today. Ladies.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have several announcements this morning relating to the agenda. The first one is under the Criminal District Attorney's Office. That would be item 8E, 1 and 2. We're going to hold those. We're going to pull those from the agenda and hold them till another date. Under purchasing, item 8I1. This is bid 2017-175, the sale of recycled paper. There's a revised court communication in your red folder this morning as relates to that particular item. And then also under purchasing, item I5. This is RFP number 2017-124. We're going to ask that we hold that, and we'll bring that back to you at a later date. Members of the Court, just a couple of other announcements. At 2 o'clock today, we have the IT Steering Committee meeting. It's over at the Family Law Center. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the Council of Governments, the PEBC is going to be meeting. And then finally, members of the Court, just want to acknowledge Commissioner Brooks yesterday received recognition on the floor of the Texas House of Representatives for his role as the President of the National Association of Counties.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I know that the first Tuesday you were in, I believe you were in the obligatory first conference that you go to in South Carolina. And I apologize. I think we we had the budget hearing, and then we moved to the next day to Tuesday, and we didn't recognize you befitting. And I just again want to congratulate you and let everybody know that Roy had a great conference in Columbus. He was installed there as the president, and I know you're going to have an exciting year, but I also know you're going to do great work, and you have a great team to work with on that. And so we're very, very proud of Roy and what he will be doing, and he'll be representing Tarrant County, I know, very well over the next year.
Every step of the way, Tarrant County will be at the table with me.
And we appreciate that very, very much. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our special call meeting of August the 7th and our regular meeting of August the 8th.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We have a resolution of appreciation. Commissioner Brooks?
Yes, this is for ratification only. It honors the years of service of Victor Henderson on the Board of Directors of the Tarrant Regional Water District. He has served in that role since 1985 and been very crucial in the water planning for North Texas, such that Tarrant County is in a much better position when it comes to availability of water and reserves into the future than any of the counties surrounding us, and probably the rest of the state. This is for ratification. It will be presented this afternoon, and I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. This past weekend, we received notice that Army Sergeant Alan Levy Stigler Jr., 22, of Arlington, Texas, was killed in Iraq. And so I would just ask that we close the court today in memory of Sergeant Stigler.
And Your Honor, I would ask that we keep in our minds and our hearts those who were killed in Charlottesville, Virginia, this past weekend in the senseless violence that occurred there.
Certainly. Court members, you have before you the consent agenda.
Move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Ladies?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have two additional items for you this.
Just 1 second.
Yes, sir.
I apologize. Commissioner Brooks.
Yes, I wanted to bring to the court's attention and to the attention of all those who are following these proceedings that this Saturday, August 19th, from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., Tarrant County Precinct 1 will be presenting its second annual Healthy Lives Alzheimer's Education Seminar. This will be primarily for caregivers to let them know what resources are available and how to access those resources as they go through the long journey of caring for their loved ones who suffer from Alzheimer's. This will be, again, from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. this coming Saturday at TCC Trinity River Campus. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Manning, sorry about that.
You know, I could make one more announcement. Just been handed a note that that Commissioner Wynn has a birthday today.
Yes. What? It is your birthday today. I remembered that and forgot.
63 years of age.
No, I think you transposed it. I think it's actually 36 years of age. He's the baby on the group.
Literally.
Literally, yes.
But not 36.
No, he's probably at least 44.
I'm turning 51 today.
51.
I'm getting there, Jay.
Still a baby.
Not even close, son.
Well, happy birthday, Commissioner.
Well, thank you.
He's got ties older than that.
Where's the cake?
Just make sure you go to church at noon. It's obligation mass today, okay? For those who are Catholics. Obligation, that's right. It's my birthday.
There you go, there you go. Well, congratulations, Commissioner.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, GK, for bringing that up.
Anytime, Commissioner. All right, so the first item under the Administrator's Office, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court adopt an order authorizing the issuance of Tarrant County Texas Limited Tax Refunding and Improvement Bond Series 2017, specify the terms and features of said bonds, levying a continuing direct ad valorem tax for the payment of said bonds, and resolving other issues incidental and related to the issuance, sale, payment, and delivery of such bonds, including the approval and execution of the purchase contract and escrow agreement. As the court knows, we are in the process of refunding almost $37 million worth of bonds, and I'm going to ask David Mednich from Hilltop to come up here and talk to you a little bit about the placement of these bonds. They'll be placed with J.P. Morgan and at a very attractive interest rate. Mr. Mednich.
Thank you, GK. I hope that each one of you has a copy of this in front of you. Is that, as GK stated, what we are doing is we're going to be refunding $33,310,000 of the Series 2010 bonds. And if you look on the left three columns, you can see these are the bonds as they currently exist or as they did exist. And in the 2017 bonds, under the next three columns, you can see that the savings or the reduction each year is about $355,000 for a total of $4.65 million in savings. The reason it was done as a private placement is that due to the strength of your credit rating and is that you can do a private placement. We didn't have to prepare an official statement. We didn't have to apply for ratings, which saves about $150,000 by doing it in that manner. The bonds will have a 10-year call, just like all the other bonds that you sell. It's over the exact same time frame, and they will be acquired directly from J.P. Morgan. I would say it's a little bit more complicated, but actually it's simple. You're refunding bonds at a lower interest rate for savings, and that's what the proposal is. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
What is the interest rate?
It's 2.18%, and it replaces bonds that were about 4 to 5%. That's why the savings. A little minor thing, GK.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate this very much. Please vote.
Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously. This is great. Do we have any other bonds that, I know we have to wait till they're callable. Do we have other bonds that are coming up that we think might apply to these or is this about the end of it?
We continually monitor them to see as the market moves, and as you get closer to call date, some of them become feasible to refund. But right now, these are the only ones that do. But again, if the rates stay as they are, or as we get closer to the call dates, then we look at them to see if it's beneficial.
I mean, they look at it all the time and inform us immediately.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank y'all.
Members of the Court, as it relates to item number one, first I'd like to personally thank Mike Wilson with J.P. Morgan Chase. You and your guys did a great job, and we appreciate the rate. Also, there are a lot of people on staff level that worked on this. It's a task to be performed. So those of you who have been involved, I know budget, audit, our office has been involved.
Kelly Hart, all of them.
And we have our attorneys from half the audience are attorneys over here.
Their billable hour rate goes into the issuance of the bonds and not into them sitting out here in this audience today. Is that correct?
We hope so.
Okay, they're shaking their head in the right direction, so I know that we're okay.
So anyway, we appreciate their efforts. Members of the court, on item number 2, I'm going to ask Ms. McMillan to make that presentation.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners.
Good morning.
We are asking today that you approve the use of tax-exempt education revenue bonds issued by Clifton Higher Education Finance Corporation in the maximum principal amount of $55 million to be used by International Leadership of Texas to finance educational facilities located in Tarrant County and around the state. Clifton is issuing these bonds on behalf of International Leadership of Texas to improve and equip properties under the ownership of ILT here in Tarrant County, located in Arlington, Grand Prairie, North Richland Hills, Saginaw, and Fort Worth. Again, this is only for the approval of IRS tax code purposes. ILT has provided a letter stating that the properties contain no restrictions as to their current or future use and providing that they will work toward meeting the guidelines of the county's HUB policy. Again, we're just asking for your approval of them, the issuance of the bonds by Clifton.
Now, who is this Clifton group?
It's just another city of Clifton education.
They're a city?
It's a city of Clifton, and that's their education finance corporation.
Is it Clifton, Texas?
Yes.
Are they planning to build
We
new?
pass those out on the way to A&M?
Yeah, kind of, no, but if you want to drive out of the way.
Yeah.
It's down here west of Waco.
Yes. I think,
Or
is it
you have
Bosque
to
That's
County,
a town
I
where all the
believe?
artists live now.
Are they planning to build new schools?
There
Or-
is, I think there's some schools that are in construction. Right now, these are going to go for current schools.
These are, they're not building new schools in Arlington, right?
No, there's not a new school in Arlington right
Okay,
now. I believe there is a new school that is being, or just built, I think it's just opening up in East Fort Worth off of
Yes,
Boca Raton.
There is.
Okay.
And then there's one in Saginaw that they've already opened, but they have a building site and they haven't started building on that one yet. I don't think these bonds are going toward that one, and that one's in Saginaw. A lot of these facilities are the ones that you'll see with the big white columns in front. They use that building structure for all of theirs.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Move to receive and file personnel agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning.
We have 2 additional items for the court. Both are waivers. The first is a waiver of terminal benefits requested by Mr. Beecham. Mr. Beecham is requesting a waiver of 312 vacation hours effective August 16th related to the retirement of his assistant purchasing agent. We're estimating the cost to the general fund to be approximately $20,149 and some change.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
The second also is a waiver, and actually it's paired with a request for a double fill. This comes from Sheriff Wayburn. As I indicated, he's requesting both a double fill and a waiver. This is related to the retirement of the Assistant Jail Administrator, Cedric Simon. We're estimating the cost to the general fund to be approximately, for both requests, $44,500, including fringe benefits.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Danny?
Come on down.
Good morning, Your Honor, and members of the court.
Good morning, Vinny.
Public Health's requesting one item for your consideration this morning. We're requesting approval of a memorandum of understanding with Grand Canyon University for completion of a student practicum at Tarrant County Public Health.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Beecham.
Does LSU play Grand Canyon this year or next year in football?
Next year.
We have 8 items for your consideration.
Did they beat y'all last year?
They should
Everybody
have.
else did.
They should have. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for bid 2017-175, the sale of recycled paper. Recommendation would be to award the high bidder, Evergreen Fiber Sales, purchasing our sorted paper at $161.10 per ton, our ledger paper at $251.10 per ton.
Move approval.
Second.
We have motions and second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
If we could skip to item number 3, bid award recommendation, RFP 2017-095, RFP for transportation services for juvenile justice alternative education program. Recommendation would be to award to Durham School Services, the amount of $164,000. If approved, we're also seeking contract approval from the court.
You said skip to item 3, but I really think that's item 2.
Yeah, you're right.
Move approval.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our next item is RFP 2017-101, an RFP for intensive Spanish language mental health services. Recommendation would be to award to Brighter Possibilities Family Counseling, amount of $25,000. Again, if approved, we're seeking contract approval also from the court.
Move approval.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Next item, an item in regards to RFP 2017-111, RFP for family-centered multifaceted wraparound services. Recommendation would be to award to Santa Fe Youth Services in the amount of $250,000. Again, if approved, we're seeking contract approval from the court.
Move approval.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Next item, RFP 2017-131, annual contract for interpretation for the deaf and hearing impaired. Recommendation would be to award per the terms of the contract, awarding section 1, 2, and 3 to the primary, secondary, and alternate vendors as shown in the court communique.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion?
Yeah, what happened to item number 5?
We held that one.
We held that item.
Okay.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Next item, bid number 2017-141, our annual contract for moving services. Recommendation would be to award per unit price, awarding to the primary, secondary, and alternate vendors as shown in the court communique.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Next item, RFP 2017-147, our annual contract for the rental of bobtail trucks. Recommendation would be to award to CAPS van and truck rental on a per unit price basis.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Last item, bid award recommendation for bid 2017-152, annual contract for temporary radiology technologist services for the Public Health Department. Recommendation would be to award on a per unit price basis with firm fixed prices and a service call rate, awarding to the primary, secondary, and alternate vendors as shown in the court communique.
Move approval.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Commissioner Johnson.
Move, has interlocal been approved by the DA's office?
Yes, that's Commissioner.
Move approval of item 8L1A and B.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Any appointments today? Being none, then you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have motion and second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have several items for you this morning in the briefing. The first is the annual briefing and the budgetary briefing for the 911 Emergency Assistance District. Mr. Petrie is here to address the court at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Manius. Your Honor, Commissioners, Mr. Manius, staff, thank you very much for the opportunity to brief the court this morning concerning the FY 2018 budget of the Tarrant County 911 District. Since the first call was answered over 30 years ago, over 50 million 911 calls have been processed through the system, and we've never raised our service fee. You'll see on the screen my vision. And Mr. Brunson's been after me for some time to copyright this, so I guess I should at some point. I always say that we have to plan today to implement technology 2 years from now that hasn't even been thought of yet. Who would have thought in 1987 that 85 to nearly 90% of our calls will come from wireless devices? I said in 1987, who would want one of those car phones? Well,
That's a great vision.
it was. So I've had to change my vision. So at the district, we've been preparing for the future. Wireless testing and training, as I mentioned before, 84% of our calls were from wireless devices in June. To kind of put that in perspective, out of every 10 calls, 8 of those are from a wireless device, 1 from a residential landline, and 1 from a business phone. We have tested literally thousands of address points in the last 10 years, 514 of those, in fact, the last fiscal year. And we came up with a saying for our call takers that if the uncertainty, which is a number that the telephone company gives us of how accurate the location is less than 150, there's a 92% chance the caller is within 100 meters of the indicated location. And those numbers actually improve every year. We get tighter resolution and closer accuracy on those calls. When I came to the district in 2005, each one of the 6 carriers had a 2-inch notebook on how to interpret their data. A call taker is not going to listen to that. If it won't fit on a sticky note, the call taker is not going to have time to pay attention to it. We've trained hundreds, if not thousands, of call takers in wireless training and in our training center. We're actively involved in the Emergency Services Interconnection Forum, which is an industry group. We infiltrated the industry group to be involved with that on an ongoing basis. In fact, our wireless manager is an advisor to that committee now. I didn't touch it. We also participate actively in the Texas 911 Alliance operations group. We've recently installed an IP-enabled 911 network, IP Internet Protocol, but this is not the Internet, not the public Internet. It's a 100% closed network. It's public safety grade. You've heard about 5 nines. 99.99% is 5 nines reliability. It's a self-healing core, which we have tested. It's a triple redundant user links, as I like to call them, including a wireless backup. It allows connectivity to all of our sites and interconnectivity. And it allows for diversification of equipment in multiple data centers, which you help us support. We're also in the process of installing IP-enabled 911 call handling equipment. The core of that equipment is in 4 data centers scattered throughout the county. 300 workstations will be supported by the system. Multiple diversified connections to the telephone network, whether that be landline, wireless, or whatever's next. I feel one day they'll plant a chip in our head, and that's all that'll be our telecommunications. The ability to establish a virtual PSAP, and this comes into play especially in our larger cities where they need to ramp up, say, 4th of July or New Year's Eve. They can actually add call takers at their backup, and to the system and to the caller, they're one location. That can also occur if you have to abandon your facility. Recently, one of our cities had a major water leak in their facility and had to move to their backup. Well, they had to shut that one down, get somebody else to answer their calls, and then go to the backup site. Once the new system is installed, they could send a few people over there, set up a virtual PSAP, and then move slower. And that way they wouldn't have to rely on their neighbors as much. The system is designed for multiple anomalies, as I like to call them. We could have multiple cable cuts at the same time, and the system would remain viable. A complete redundancy, triple redundancy, if that can, I think that's an oxymoron, but we have redundancy throughout the system, and we can support expanded capacities. We've discussed before text to 911, multimedia, the ability for someone to send a a picture of an incident to the dispatch point. And the Internet of Things, as it's called today, your refrigerator, your thermostat, those can all be incorporated into the network, into your security system, and then your security system can be incorporated into the network. So there's many, many things that will be coming forward in the future, and we're planning the network for that. But the emphasis is when it's requested by our member cities. We don't dictate what the cities do. The cities dictate to us.
Okay, let me see if I understand you correctly. When it comes to text to 911, the 911 hour network is ready and able to support that technology.
When we finish the implementation of this 911 call handling equipment, yes, sir.
Okay, and then it's up to the member entities to implement theirs, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any member entities who are preparing to adopt that technology?
Not that I'm aware of today.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I've provided you a complete budget packet for your review. This packet contains specific information about our revenues and expenditures. It also contains a 5-year forecast and an audited balance sheet, Judge, for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2016. A couple of highlights. Overall, the district's expenditures have decreased slightly this fiscal year. Next generation projects that I have mentioned is the IP-enabled network and the second year of our planned 3-year replacement of all 911 equipment. An expanded training program to include new state mandated requirements and assistance in pre-hire testing. Retention of PSEP personnel, or call takers as we call them, is a high priority. An expanded public education program. Many of y'all have met Abigail, our public education specialist, at some of your events. She's a go-getter. We also included a 4% merit pool in the budget. However, Whitney Smith, our HR consultant, has told us that will probably be trend more in the 3% range, and they will have us final figures before the end of the year. We also have included, once again, $3 million which is earmarked for PSAP and interoperability assistance programs for our member entities. The budget in the most simplistic of terms. So we anticipate service fee revenue of about $15.2 million. We will make a transfer from our equipment replacement fund of $8.3 million for total expenses of $23.6 million this year. I also predict at the end of the 18 fiscal year that we'll still have approximately $17.6 million in that reserve fund for our 3rd year. Judge, while I have the microphone, I would like to thank you and the Commissioners Court for supporting the district for the last 30 years. I would also especially like to thank you for the last 12 years that I've been director. If you have not heard, I will be retiring at the end of the year. It has been an absolute pleasure to serve as the district's executive director. The board is in the process of conducting a national search for my replacement. I'll work with Mr. Brunson and Mr. Manius to ensure that you meet them as soon as possible following their appointment. Judge Whitley, I'll be happy to answer any questions you or the Commissioners Court may have, and again, thank you for your support.
Greg, thank you very much for your service to the citizens of Tarrant County and the 911. Let's give it.
Thank you.
Board members, do you have any questions?
Well, Greg, I just want to congratulate you on your pending retirement.
Thank you.
And thank you for the foresight to getting our network ready for text to 911. Most of the applications used on the cell phones nowadays are done through text. And there are important situations in which, emergency situations in which text will have to be utilized. Okay, if you are trying to hide in a closet and the perpetrator is right outside the door, it may not be a good idea to get on the phone and call 911.
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate your foresight in getting our network ready. Now it's up to the member entities to explore the possibilities of adopting the technologies. Do you know the reason why they haven't done so? Is it cost or is it?
There are some concerns by several of our entities concerning cost. It does take longer to process a call like a text. I call them calls, but it's not really a call. A text to 911 takes about 10 times longer to process than the average 911 call. The average 911 call is under a minute in length, but the average text takes 10 to 11 minutes. So there are some of our entities are concerned about the financial aspects or the impacts that it may have upon their answering point.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Greg, thank you. The 911 district's budget will be up on the court agenda for next Tuesday. Recorder, we can go to item B. This is the update on our legislative issues. Mr. Mendez is here to hopefully answer any questions that the court may have.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just a brief update on where we stand. Of the 20 items that the governor put on the special session call, 5 have been sent to the governor for his signature. Only one of those has been signed, that being the voter fraud issue. The big issue that's still in play that affects the counties is, of course, Senate Bill 1, which is the property tax reform bill. The House passed a version out on Sunday night with a 6% rollback rate and an automatic election and an exemption for taxing entities under $25 million of their budget. The Senate has refused to concur in the amendments that the House sent over, and they have requested the appointment of a conference committee. They appointed that committee this morning or late last night. So the ball is in the House's court right now.
Who's on the conference committee?
The conferees are Senator Betancourt, Senator Creighton from Montgomery County, Senator Taylor from Collin County, and Senator Hancock from Tarrant County.
And the House has not appointed its conference committee yet?
No, and they don't need to.
They might not?
They might not. The House could take it or leave it stance and just refuse to appoint a committee, and then it's up to the Senate whether or not they wish to concur or not. If they don't, we're probably going back into another session.
And that's up to the Speaker to set that?
That's up to the Speaker.
Okay.
So that's where we stand right now. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No luck on the ability to set a dollar exemption for homestead?
It got a hearing, but it was never kicked out of committee.
And which committee was that?
Ways and Means.
Bonham was the chair.
Bonham was the chair, but he did give it a hearing. And there were some encouraging comments from that committee, so I think it's coming back next session.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mark.
Now, if I could make just one final announcement. Those of you who have been following, this weekend we had the entire mainframe switched, and our mainframe operations now are in a remote location away from the county site. According to the county clerk, her criminal division, it was 100% successful. And so you might remember as we went through the budget process, there were some significant savings to the county for doing that particular activity. And Chris, job well done. That's all we have at this time, Your Honor.
I just want to add that this project has about 20 people involved, from the planning until the execution. About 20 IT teams, along with the collaboration of the Sheriff Department and other department heads. It was really, really a serious undertaking. Did you snap pictures of the mainframe as you move it out? No, sir. No?
Yeah, we thought about having a mainframe bash where everybody could come and take a hit.
A baseball bat?
Take a hit, for $50 and get a hit on the.
That might be premature.
It's this time, we'll recess our open meeting, proceed to close, to discuss items exempted under section 551, 071, 072, 074, 076, 078. returned from our closed session, and there being no business to do at this time, then we stand adjourned. And please remember that we're adjourning in memory of Army Sergeant Alan Levy Stigler, Jr., 22, of Arlington, Texas.
Stigler.
Stigler.
Are we lowering the flags?